Hi, my name is Alira Barrera, and I am an occupational therapist. I'm thankful to have the opportunity to present to you on home safety today. If you've never heard of occupational therapy, we're a group of professionals that can offer you and your loved one with a great deal of support to include overall health promotion, home safety evaluations, fall prevention, and just support you with different strategies to help modify your home to keep your loved ones safe and also as independent as possible in their day-to-day activities. In today's presentation, we're going to talk about different ways that you can modify the environment to support fall prevention as well as your loved one's safe participation in those activities of daily living. Whenever you see the letters ADL, that's what that stands for, Activities of Daily Living. We're also going to talk about different types of durable medical equipment, which is labeled as DME, to help support fall prevention. In addition to this, we're going to talk about ways that you can have proper body mechanics to perform transfers safely for you and your loved one, as well as the different types of transfers that can be implemented in those day-to-day tasks. So when thinking about your loved one with dementia, you may start to notice that day-to-day activities that used to never be a problem for them are suddenly difficult for them to complete, and you may be needing to help them with that. And those day-to-day activities may include dressing, basic hygiene and grooming, bathing, maybe toileting, and maybe preparing meals. You may also start to see that they have difficulty moving around the home. They may start shuffling their feet. They may have trouble just getting in and out of bed, which overall just increases their risk of falls in the home. So, when thinking about home safety, it's a lot more than just thinking about the home. You also want to think about your loved one and their current abilities, such as their eyesight. You would want to think about how well can they see? Do they need glasses? Do they remember to put those glasses on? Are they able to identify objects and use them appropriately every day? And are they good with depth perception where they can tell how far a step is, if there's a step to get in or out of the home, as well as stairs in the home. You also want to think about their mobility, such as are they shuffling their feet? Can they move around the home independently? Can they get in and out of chairs, in and out of bed on their own, or up and down from the commode as well? You also want to think about their cognition, which includes overall safety awareness, especially thinking about that in the kitchen, as well as ability to follow directions and carry out tasks, as well as maybe different behaviors that they may be exhibiting. When we think about the home, we also want to think, why is it that we want to modify the environment? And essentially, the reason that we want to modify the environment is because we want our loved one to be able to safely participate in those activities of daily living, which include bathing, dressing, grooming, and eating. In the following slides, we will go over different environmental modifications to be made, as well as home safety considerations for different rooms in the home. When you're considering modifying the home for overall safety and participation in those daily activities, you want to consider the overall clarity and simplicity of design of the home, such as these pictures here. You see the bedroom, and in the top picture, it's clear that there is a chair blocking the door, as well as a throw rug and shoes blocking the way. So if your loved one were to try to get up in the middle of the night, they do have that fall risk there with the throw rug as well as the shoes and the the chair in front of the door. Something I never thought about until I saw this picture was how busy this nightstand is. So it's really important to think about removing any clutter from the area, because if your loved one were to wake up in the middle of the night to reach for a tissue, one of these items could fall, and then, oh, they need to go to the restroom, and that item is now on the floor, which can create a fall risk for them. It's also good to think about those throw rugs. I know that sometimes they just add something extra special and nice, but they are fall risks, as well as electrical cords. Another fall risk that we may have around the home that is not bulleted on there are our pets. It's good to think about um, where they're at in space as well as where we put their food and water bowls, as those can also create fall risks. We may want to rearrange furniture so that way the setup is a lot more open. And we also want to think about where we have firearms or any other unsafe objects. It's a really good idea to put those under lock and key to just maintain the overall safety and decrease access to them from your loved one. Some more considerations in the home are, does your home or your loved one's home have steps to enter or exit the home as well as stairs within the home? If your loved one has difficulty with depth perception and the steps are all the same color, it may be good to consider getting a nice contrast strip on them or painting a contrast strip on them, because if they have those depth perception issues, steps that are all the same color may kind of just appear as one big blob to them. So adding that contrast on the step will really help define it and bring more awareness to that step being there for them. If you have hardwood or tile floors, there are also available some textured strips or non-skid wax that you can add. Um, Another good thing to think about is the lighting in different areas. So I know I had an apartment once that didn't have any light in the living room, and so I had a lamp, but that lamp was still not enough, so then I bought another lamp to make it a little bit brighter. So every home is definitely different, and it's good to consider the lighting because that can affect vision whenever they're walking. And it's also good to think about how light is entering the home, such as when blinds are open, as it can create glare at times, which may impede their ability to see where they're at in space, and overall just prevent those falls from happening as well. There are these amazing plugins that are motion censored that you can add, which I think would be great to add to hallways or to bathrooms, because if your loved one gets up in the middle of the night, it'll sense them and illuminate the area for them as they're walking. As we move to the bedroom and living room modifications, I feel like the bedroom and living room are usually the place where we have the most leisure time. So I feel like we usually have a lot of electrical cords, whether it be a TV, a radio, maybe lamps, DVD players, etc. So it's good to consider where those electrical cords are coming from. Are they accessible? Could they cause falls, for example? Um, there are these electrical cord covers that you can get if there's just no way of removing them from being accessible to cause falls. And you could actually get that electrical cord cover in a nice contrasting color to make your loved one more aware of it being there and make them a little bit more careful as they're stepping around it. Um, if your loved one may have behaviors which include wandering or trying to elope from the home, especially at night, there are alarms that can be installed to the doors and windows to notify you that they are opening. There's also this, it almost serves as a deadbolt, which is pictured. It's called the door guardian to help keep them from wandering or leaving the home, especially at night, like I mentioned. And you can place that higher up as well, so that way they don't, it's not readily accessible or easily accessible for them. It's also a good idea to decrease clutter overall in the area or access to unsafe objects. Now, as we move to kitchen modifications, I think it's important to think about your loved one's overall ability to follow directions and overall safety awareness using the kitchen. You may want to remove access to dangerous kitchen items, so if they just don't have that processing to use appliances the way they used to, it may be good to just remove them altogether. A good suggestion that I saw is if they have the risk of leaving the oven or stove top on, it may be good to just remove the knobs whenever it's not being used, so that way they don't have access to possibly burning something. And then it's also good to think about, again, decreasing clutter. I know I'm guilty of having kind of that everything drawer in my kitchen. Um, but it's a good idea to organize things, and I really like this picture here where they organize the utensils, so they're easily accessible and it's clear to see where everything goes and where everything is. It's also good to think about maybe labeling items. So there's many drawers or cabinets sometimes in the kitchen, but if you were to put a picture of utensils, for example, on that drawer where the utensils are, it may help your loved one um, better access and know where those items are in case they somehow walk in and they forget what they were looking for. That visual or label gives them a cue to find what they're looking for. I also want to talk a little bit about cabinet and drawer safety, because those corners can really hurt at times, and if your loved one just doesn't have very good skin integrity, um, getting hit with a corner of a cabinet can be no fun and cause some severe bruising, so it may be good to look into getting these corner caps pictured here. So when looking at bathroom modifications, it may be good to think about adding grab bars to the side of your toilet as well as in the shower if possible. Um, Also, just thinking about the shower, your loved one may just not have the endurance anymore to stand in the shower the whole time. So it's really good to think about getting a shower chair or tub transfer bench as pictured there, and also getting a handheld shower head to bring the water down instead of having to stand up and have the water hit. Um, it's good to think about having those non-slip mats both in the shower if possible or if needed, and also outside the shower. Make sure it has that non-slip backing to it. Um, since mobility may be decreased, it's good to think about having a raised toilet seat to help them get up and out of the commode a little bit easier as well. And then just to point out this top picture here with the little box with all the toiletries, it may be good to think about just having everything readily accessible for your loved one in a box, um, or little shower caddy just like that, because when thinking about their processing of different instructions or following directions, it may be difficult to tell them, oh, well, go brush your teeth. There's so many steps that involve brushing your teeth, which includes maybe flossing for them, as well as getting the brush, putting toothpaste on it, and then brushing the teeth. And that also involves multiple parts. But if all those parts are in one spot, they'll be cued in a sense to bring those things together to follow through with their day-to-day activities. And for example, if they see the toothbrush with the toothpaste and they see the hand cream, they may think like, oh, okay, I need to put on cream. Oh, there's the mouthwash. Let me do mouthwash as well. Oh, let me brush my hair. If it's all there for them, it cues them and makes it a little bit easier for them as well, since they don't have to go looking for those objects and where they could possibly be in the restroom. So this slide shows durable medical equipment that you can obtain to help increase your loved one's participation in self-care skills and just make the home a little bit more accessible for them. So the top left picture is the 3-in-1 bedside commode, and the 3-in-1 function is that it serves as 1, a bedside commode, 2, as a raised toilet seat, and 3, as grab bars. So this is a really great and versatile option. Just as an example, my grandma used it, and it would serve as a bedside commode at night, so that way she wouldn't have to walk all the way down the hallway if she had to use the restroom at night. And then during the day, they would switch it over to the main restroom, so that way it would serve as a raised toilet seat and grab bars for her if she had to use the restroom during the day. And then moving on to the next picture, to the top right, is the tub transfer bench. As you can tell, it kind of extends out a bit, and that part goes over the tub. So in case you need to transfer them, you first transfer them onto that part sticking out on the side, and then you scoot them over to the part that's supported with the back. And then in the bottom picture, we have the shower chair, which was also noted in the picture in the slide before. And what I really love about this picture of the tub transfer bench and the shower chair is that they both have back support. So if your loved one fatigues easily or they just don't have the best trunk control, it's definitely worth getting them a transfer bench or shower chair that has that back support for them. Before we move on to this next section, I just want to note that you have been provided with a home safety caregiver checklist, so that way you can better note the different examples from the slides previous to this. So that way when you look around your home, you have these considerations at your hands, and then with these slides you have different visuals available as well. Next, we will be talking about body mechanics to better keep you and your loved one safe when performing transfers.
Hi, I'm going to show you good body mechanics to use whenever you're lifting an object off of the ground. You're going to approach the object and get close to it so you don't have to reach too far out in front of you. And then keep your feet shoulder width apart so you have a good base of support. Bend your knees while keeping your heels on the ground. Make sure your back is straight. Grab the object, look forward, and push up with your legs while keeping the object close to your body. I'll show you one more time.
So as you probably just observed in the videos, it's really important to have proper body mechanics. While the object that she was lifting may have been small, it's definitely good to consider if it were a bigger object, there would definitely be increased strain on her back, which could lead to injury. Um, Overall, body mechanics is needed to efficiently transfer someone. If you have any contraindications or things going on with your body that would prevent you from safely transferring someone, it's very important to know your limits, such as if you just had knee surgery or your knees overall just have very bad osteoarthritis. It's safer overall not to perform the transfer. As well as if you just have a really bad back, it's important to take care of yourself and take those considerations into account. Overall, general body mechanics guidelines include staying close to the person or item, make sure you're keeping your back straight, never slouch, have a good wide base of support, at least shoulder width apart. You bend at the knees and you use your legs to lift. Don't underestimate the power of your legs, they're very strong. And something that I had never thought about until I witnessed these videos was the importance of looking forward, because if you're looking down and something's very heavy, you can put unnecessary strain on your neck as well. So, the best way to better understand these guidelines and these principles, if you are capable of practicing, I encourage you to practice right now, looking at the videos and doing your best to imitate. If you can practice in front of a mirror, by all means do that so you can be mindful of whether or not you're keeping your back nice and straight. If you have somebody else to observe you as well, it would be good to get that extra feedback. Next, we will be discussing different transfers that you can perform with your loved one to help them better participate in their daily activities. So the two main types of transfers are the step pivot and the squat pivot. The step pivot transfers are performed when your loved one is able to come to standing, but they may need a little bit of help because they may have weakness on one side or just overall weakness overall. The squat pivot is used when the person cannot come to standing, but they can tolerate weight through both legs. And it allows for equal weight bearing, in which you both are squatting and pivoting at the same time. The squat pivot may take several steps to complete, which is absolutely fine. There is no need to rush the transfers. With both transfers, it's very important to check on the cognition and behavior of your loved one. Never rush the transfer and always communicate and check in with your loved one to see how they're feeling throughout the process. If your loved one is combative or not in a good behavioral state to perform a transfer, it's best to kind of let them cool down before proceeding forward, because you want to maintain not only their safety but your safety as well when performing the transfer.
Hi, in this video I will be demonstrating the proper way of placing a gait belt. A gait belt is used for many reasons. It helps prevent or reduce the impact if a fall were to occur. It also prevents injury because you're not pulling on body parts. It helps you control the movement and the balance, and it prevents caregiver strain. The first thing that we need to do before placing the gait belt is to communicate to our loved one. So we might say, I am placing this gait belt around you for safety. Once we do that, we want to find the narrowest or the smallest part of the waist and place our gait belt around it. We want to make sure that the buckle is facing the front and is in the center. We're going to thread the end of our belt through the teeth, and we're going to pull. The end, we're going to thread it through the end of the belt and pull. We want to make sure that the belt is not too loose or too tight, that it causes discomfort. So we can place 2 fingers in between the belt and your loved one, and 2 fingers should be able to fit comfortably. The excess of the belt, we don't want it to be hanging, so we're going to thread it in between the belt, just like that. Make sure that before we transfer, we're staying close to our loved one and we're demonstrating proper body mechanics. Hi, in this video I will be demonstrating a stand pivot transfer. A stand pivot transfer requires the person to be able to come up into a standing position and pivot their feet. Before we do any transfers, we need to make sure that the area is clear and that there's nothing on the floor. We also want to make sure that we communicate with our loved one throughout the whole process. The first thing we need to do is to make sure that the chair or the wheelchair is placed at close proximity from where we're transferring from. We also need to make sure that the feet are flat on the floor and that our loved one is at the edge of the bed. If they're not at the edge of the bed, we can help them scoot up. Once we have that, we want to make sure that the heel of the foot is facing or angled towards the chair. So I'm just going to angle your foot towards the chair. Then we can place their hands on the bed because we want to allow our loved one to help us as much as they can. Okay, I'm going to grab the belt and we're going to come to a standing position and sit at the chair, okay? On the count of 3, ready? You can help me push up with your arms. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. And then we pivot. Okay, you can reach back, the chair is behind you. Make sure that we are coming to a standing position, we are using our legs and we're bending our knees and keeping our back straight. Hi, in this video I will be demonstrating a squat pivot transfer. Squat pivot transfer requires the person to be able to tolerate weight on their legs. The first thing that we need to do, like in any transfer, is to make sure that the area is clear and there's nothing on the floor. It's also very important to be able to communicate to your loved one throughout the whole process. The first thing that we need to do is to place the chair or the wheelchair at close proximity from the bed or the area that we're transferring from. For this, we want to make sure that the feet are flat on the floor and that we're able to angle the heel of the foot towards the chair. Okay, once you're at the edge of the bed, feet are flat, I'm going to angle your heel. And I'm going to scoot you to the right to get closer to the chair, okay? I'm going to come here and I'm just going to hold one of the legs with my legs and I'm going to scoot you to the side, okay? I'm going to wrap my arm around the gate belt and you can place either your hands below my elbows or if they're able to help you push, you can tell them to push from the bed or the chair. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Once we're like that and scooted over, we're going to angle the feet again. And now we're ready to transfer to the chair. Okay? I'm going to transfer you back to the chair. Okay? I'm going to hug or hold one of the legs. If you have a chair, a wheelchair with an armrest, we want to make sure that the armrest is down and they can help you push with the opposite arm to the opposite armchair. If not, they are able to hold you below the arms or the elbows, and we're going to rock at 3, okay? Shift your way forward, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is how you do a squat pivot transfer. Make sure you're always demonstrating proper body mechanics and lifting with your legs.
So as you just saw in the previous videos, you learned the importance of a gait belt, how to properly place a gait belt, and perform a stand pivot, a squat pivot transfer. Something that was not noted in the videos is that if you are using a wheelchair, it's very important to lock the brakes to prevent the chair from sliding back when your loved one is being transferred to or from the chair. Another important thing to note is that if you have a chair with armrests, it's really good to use that chair to better encourage your loved one to push up from the armrest or to reach for the armrest as they are reaching back for the chair to sit down or pushing up again to get out of the chair. If you do not have the physical capability to do the transfer on your own, there is one called the two-person dependent transfer. And this is if your loved one has minimal to no functional ability, and one person would be in the front and another person would be supporting the back. If you cannot perform the two-person dependent transfer, there is this great equipment right here called the Hoyer lift, and it's used to better prevent injury from yourself as a caregiver and your loved one. But it is recommended that you get trained by a qualified healthcare professional before using this equipment and performing this type of transfer. I do want to mention as well that you have been provided with a secondary checklist for caregivers to better understand different signs that indicate you may benefit from receiving occupational therapy services. And if that is the case, and if you have difficulties with transfers or more questions about transfers, getting a consult with an occupational therapist may be beneficial for you. I hope this presentation has been of great value to you. I know that there's so much to cover when it comes to home safety, and possibly not all your questions have been answered. So if that is the case, feel free to contact the Caring for the Caregiver program and they will do their best to get in contact with me to better answer your questions or connect you with another occupational therapist that can better help answer your questions or serve you. Thank you for watching.